The most workaholic I've ever seen. If I were her, I'd die the first day. But whenever I see her WhatsApp status, I see working. I'll get to messages later. But she's this amazing designer. Whenever I see her work on Instagram, I just cannot resist to stare at the art she makes for a long time. Our workaholic, Toastmaster, Najla Qamber.
10 years ago, I saw a homeless woman beg for her daughter's education. Every day, for 2 years, I see an average man give half of what is in his wallet to that homeless woman. 1 year later, I noticed that homeless child in her school uniform. All thanks to that average, selfless, generous man. And he gave me hope in no ways you can ever imagine. Master of Ceremonies, fellow Toastmasters, and dear guests, good evening to you all.
Good evening.
It was 2004, and I felt lost. Watching as people all around me live their lives happily and with purpose. Watching them move so fast, while I just stood there, still as a rock. Where was my life? Where was it going? I didn't study, I didn't go to school, I didn't have any friends, I never left the house. An introvert stuck in her own self-built prison. Always sitting, always pondering, where? Where was I going? And why was I so unhappy? One day I saw a homeless woman beg to earn for her daughter's education. Then somehow every day I see the same average-looking man give half of what is in his wallet to that homeless woman. And miraculously, a year later, I see the same homeless child in her school uniform. That average man literally put her to school without even knowing it. From that moment, I knew that I had no reason to frown, no reason to cry, no reason to feel any type of unhappiness, because I had a roof over my head, food to eat, family that loves me, and an education that was priceless. Seeing that homeless mother and child told me that as long as I had those 4 vital things, that I should smile and just be grateful, because I have everything. But yet, I frowned. Stubborn child that I was, I still frowned and cursed the world because I didn't know where was I going, and I didn't know why, but I was so unhappy, and I had no idea why that is. I had no idea. Ladies and gentlemen, I had an unhealthy case of teen depression. My self-esteem was at 10% and dropping fast. I was angry and sad all the time. I had physical pain all over my body that the doctors said to me, it was just, or said to my parents, it's just all in her head. it's not real. She's just thinking it. Worst of all, this is very personal, but I'm going to tell you. Worst of all were my thoughts of suicide. Yes, I was one of those chaotic, stupid little girls. But I did think of this. When to do it, where to do it, how to do it, what should I write in my suicide note? I read up, and studies show that 40% of teenagers all over the world suffer from this same depression that I had. Whether they have no reason at all or all the reasons in the world, they suffer from this. For example, divorce, family death, puberty, bullying, abuse, or in my case, trauma. Trauma from a fear as a child I could not get over. I had fear of school. Yes. I know what you're all thinking. Oh, it's normal for children to have fear of school. 1 week, it's gone. They'll be okay, because they'll make friends, yada, yada, yada. But no. For me, it lasted decades. Literally decades. It was so much of a problem that the solitude that I felt being at home while everyone else was at work or at school, like where I'm supposed to be, dropped my self-esteem so low because they could all do what I couldn't. And that was enter an educational institute of any kind. And then the trauma that I felt, being forced to get in the bus, being forced to get into that uniform, to be forced being in that hateful building, did not do well for my childish mind. Because I had nightmares, I had hallucinations, I was a child and I didn't know what was real. I did not know what was real anymore. One day, I was so angry at myself, so angry at the entire world, that I stormed out of my house into the park in front of it, sat on the park bench, and cried. Cried like the child that I was. I wailed. But then, I felt really small warmth wrap around me. And when I looked down, I see it's a little girl, not more than 4 years old. She took me from her embrace and told me, "Don't cry. It's going to be okay." Do you know why? Because the sun is shining. And then she hugged me really tight and then raced off. That day, I received a huge slap from reality telling me that I was being unfair to myself. Telling me that a random act of kindness can change anyone. That was so strange because I didn't see this when that average man gave his money and literally put that little girl to school. But only when that random act of kindness was reverted back to me, then did I realize that the only reason that I am this way is because of me, because I'm stopping myself. And the only person who can fix me is me, just me. And I did. I did come out of that depression. I did go to that school, and mind you, I got highest honors. And I did learn to live. You know why? Because the sun is shining. So, ladies and gentlemen, whether you're 3 or 90, depression seeps through everyone and anyone. You just need to learn to help yourself. Because sometimes if you're at that peak and you don't know how you're ever going to come down anymore, sometimes you're not lucky enough to get that random act of kindness like how I did. So, give a friend a hug. Just 'cause. Tell them that you care. Just 'cause. Tell your teenage brother and sister that you love them. Give that homeless man food, a dinar, anything you have. A secret even. If you see someone crying on the street, give her something to make her feel better. Because you never know what random act of kindness can give a person hope. Can change their day, can change their life, or even save it. Just like how that little girl was a big step that changed me. Now I leave you with this quote from Bakiri, who said that the most powerful and least costly agent of change is kindness. Kindness. So keep that in mind. Thank you.
Toastmasters, after this touching story, we need a We have 5 minutes.